Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, today we're in a very special car. It's this 1968 Mercedes SL280. Now this era of SL is a very special car in general, but to me in particular because, well, for as long as I can remember, it's been my dream car. Ever since I was a teenager, I've wanted a 1960s Mercedes SL. I just think they're one of the prettiest cars ever made. You hardly ever see them out and about in the wild, but whenever I go to a car show and there's one there, it's the car that I'm immediately drawn to. Let me tell you a little bit about the Pagoda SL then. So this era of SL ran from 1964 until 1972, and it was the second generation SL. Now the SL name itself roughly translates to sporty and light, and what this essentially was a very glamorous, very pretty little roadster. This is known as the W113, and it was first launched at the 1963 Geneva Motor Show. It was essentially the second generation SL, and it ran from 1963 until 1971. So this 1968 version was kind of a facelift car. All models of SL came with a straight 6, and they were all fuel injected. Also, a lot of the body panels were made from aluminium to save weight. So they were a very modern car for the time. This was a very popular car in the US as well. Out of the 48,000 cars sold, nearly 20,000 ended up in America. Many years ago, I spent about 3 months in California. I did a term of college there, and every single time I drive down Santa Monica Boulevard through West Hollywood, there was a classic car dealership on the right-hand side, and they had, in the window, a Pagoda Top SL like this. And every single time I drove past, every morning I thought, one day I'll own one of those cars. But I've never had the opportunity to drive one until today. So thank you, Grant, for throwing me the keys to your 1968 Pagoda Top SL and saying, yeah, go and enjoy yourself. The thing I was kind of always worried about driving one of these is that I thought it was going to be a case of never meet your heroes. Because this has been a dream car of mine for many, many years, I thought when I finally drive one, it'll be a bit disappointing. Well, I can tell you straight away that it isn't. It's lived up to my expectations. Honestly, driving this around Melbourne today is one of those pinch me moments. A lot of cars from the 60s are quite ostentatious, but the Pagoda SL isn't. It's far classier than that. You could just imagine this car driving around the south of France or northern Italy. And I think the proportions are just spot on. You've got a nice long bonnet, which is nice and curvy, and quite a short boot. You also have a nice smattering of chrome as well, just to make it pop. This particular colour combination is one of my favourites as well. So it's like an old English white with a blue leather interior and blue carpets. It's very 60s, and just very cool. It particularly suits these white wall tyres too. It's got just the right amount of chrome on it. I've just always loved these cars, particularly the way they look. I think it's a really beautiful car. It's so soft and dainty and delicate. I just think it's a far better looking car than the equivalent Jaguar E-Type. I know lots of people would disagree with me there, but that's what I believe anyway. These were available as a soft top or with this hard top. Now, because of the shape of the hard top, it was given the nickname of Pagoda. That's why most people refer to this era of SL as the Pagoda SL. I've been looking at these cars on Auto Trader on and off for the last 20 years. And when I first started looking, you could pick them up for about £20,000. And now, a good one will set you back about 100. If you had the foresight to buy one of these cars 2 or 3 decades ago, right now in 2025, you'd be sitting pretty. Driving one of these today is obviously a flex, but it's a tasteful flex. Having spoken to the owner of this car, who's owned it for about 30 years, he said it's been quite reliable. I'm told they prefer to be driven regularly rather than kept sitting, but the same is true for most classics. If you think about buying one of these, you do need to check for rust, because apparently they can rust quite badly. Here in Australia though, that shouldn't be an issue, but if you're looking for one in the UK, then it could very well be. They particularly like to rust on the bulkhead, I believe. Also, if you're thinking about buying one, make sure you do a thorough vehicle history check. I always use a company called Car Vertical. They're really easy to use. All you need to do is go to carvertical.com, and don't worry, I'll leave the link below in the video description, and type in your reg or your VIN, and then check vehicle. A few moments later, you'll get a thorough detailed report back, which will tell you things like whether the cars have been stolen, written off, had a mileage rollback, or has outstanding finance on it. In addition to that, it shows you the ownership changes, the reg plate changes, the MOT history, and a whole lot more. It doesn't take long and it isn't expensive, and it's cheaper still if you use my promo code HIGHPEAK. That's HIGHPEAK all one word, HIGHPEAK, and you'll save yourself 20% off each and every check you do. And you can use that promo code as many times as you like. So cheers Car Vertical for sponsoring today's video. The whole thing really is just so pretty and understated. It's why I've always been drawn to them. I think this is just one of those cars that looks right everywhere you go. Whether you're in the city, the mountains, or some coastal road. It just looks at home everywhere. The interior design is classic Mercedes. I think it was designed with the assumption that the owners would keep it for the next century. It's got a few nice touches as well that I really like. I love the thin steering wheel. I guess it's Bakelite, but I'm not sure. I love the original Becker radio and the analog clock. I love the gauges as well. And if you open the glove compartment, it's even got a little map reading light. How cool's that? And for such a small car, there's plenty of space. I've got loads of headroom, loads of leg room, loads of elbow room. It doesn't feel cramped or claustrophobia inducing. The gearbox takes a little bit of getting used to, admittedly, but it keeps up with modern traffic perfectly well. So under the bonnet of this one is a 2.8 litre straight six, and it's fuel injected, and it feels quite modern. This 280 was the biggest engine you could get as well. It provides plenty of power to what is quite a light car. It certainly doesn't feel like you're driving a car from the 1960s. The 2.8 litre straight six engine produces about 170 horsepower, which in a car that weighs about 1,300 kilos feels like enough. And on these twisty roads, it handles surprisingly well. There were lots of smaller engines to go for, but the 280 has always been my favourite. You could have bought this as a 230 or a 250. It also is available as a manual, either a 4-speed or a 5-speed. But again, I think I'd opt for this automatic. I've always wanted specifically an SL280 Auto. I just think it suits this car better. The whole purpose of this car is to just sit back and enjoy yourself. Lift the roof off, play some nice music, have one arm out the window, and just enjoy life. The way this car drives and handles has been a complete surprise to me. I really thought that by the time I eventually get round to drive one of these cars, it would feel like hard work. I thought it'd be really slow and the brakes would be terrible, and I thought it would wallow and just generally be a pain in the neck to drive and use. But that just isn't the case. You know, for a 60-year-old car, it's surprisingly easy to drive. It feels very, very agile. The steering's nice and light and assisted. The seats are very comfortable. It's just a complete pleasure. Visibility is very good as well. There are almost no blind spots. Even with the Pagoda top on, there's plenty of glass around you, so it doesn't feel like you're enclosed in a dark, dingy space. It's nice and bright. This is a very happy car. You can't help but smile each time you drive it. It's just one of those cars that instantly lifts your mood. It copes with the bumps very well too. It's nice and solid and composed. It's quite a light car, this. It weighs about 1,300 kilos. And you can tell when you drive it because it feels nice and light on its feet. This straight six is lovely as well. It's smooth, eager, and surprisingly modern feeling. It doesn't feel fast by today's standards, but it is more than adequate. 0 to 62 will take around 9 seconds, which is alright. You've got to remember though, this car isn't about racing. It's all about the journey. It's about arriving looking cool and stylish. One thing that's quite confusing about this car is the gear selector, because it's kind of back to front. So park is down at the bottom, and then to select drive, there's no D. You simply put it in 4. What did in H? I honestly thought the gearbox would be all over the place. I really thought that it wouldn't know what day it is, but it's not. It's quite smooth. Alright, it isn't a modern 8-speed DCT or anything, but it's quite quick to respond. It does a pretty good job. It also rides nicely too. You sit here on this beautiful leather seat, which is nice and springy and bouncy. For a car that's nearly 6 decades old, it is surprisingly refined. There's no drama, no fuss, no shouting. It's all just very effortless and elegant. The whole thing just glides so effortlessly. It really is a pleasure to use. Even the brakes are very good. The steering is nice and light because it's power assisted. Everything is just very easy to use and operate. There's not much wind noise or road noise. There aren't any rattles or creaks. It's very impressive. It isn't exactly a secret that I'm a big SL fan. I currently own an R230 SL55 AMG that I've owned for many years, and I'll keep that forever. And I also own a 129 that I've recently bought back. I just love them. The SL and the Range Rover are my 2 favourite cars. And really, you know, people talk about the perfect 2-car driveway. Well, I think a Range Rover and an SL is that. Nice SL, nice Range Rover. Your driveway's complete. You really don't need any more. It's so elegant and classy and pretty and dainty. It sounds good, it smells good. You get that nice old Mercedes interior smell. It's just unmistakable. A 1968 SL280, I never thought I'd drive one. I really didn't. There's this and the BMW Z8. They're my 2 favourite cars of all time. So this is definitely one of those bucket list cars that I can now tick off. Although having said that, I don't really want to just tick off the driving experience. I still want to own one. One day. One day. I'll keep working, keep chipping away, and eventually I shall be the proud owner of an SL280. So has it lived up to my expectations? Bear in mind this has been my dream car for about 25 years. I'd say so. It is still my dream car and I still want one desperately. It's just effortlessly cool, this car. It really does deserve its place in history. I know the previous generation of SL, the 190, is more valuable and more expensive, but I honestly prefer this. I think this is a far prettier car. I prefer how this is more angular. The previous gen was quite curved. I've just never been a big fan of it, whereas this, I think this is the real sweet spot. I really don't want to give this car back, you know. What surprised me most about this car, though, is just how usable it is. You could almost use this on a daily basis. It's never a cumbersome pain in the neck. In fact, it's quite suited to driving around town. Can you imagine having this in your garage? You can take it out whenever the weather's nice. I really don't think there's a better car to go for a coffee in than this. So this really isn't a case of never meet your heroes. I've met mine today, and she's good. Well, I think that's about it, guys and girls. So thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. I'll leave the links below. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Cheers.